Authorities say they're not sure when those two American astronauts stranded on the International Space Station will return. We were chatting about them just a moment ago. They were only supposed to spend 8 days there, but they've been there since June. Our North America correspondent Carrington Clark joins us now from Washington. Carrington, we've had a bit of a update, haven't we, on their situation, a bit more knowledge about what they're facing?
A little bit more knowledge, but not as much as I'm sure the families of the two astronauts involved would like. We were hoping that today we would receive a hard timeline on how NASA planned to return these two stranded astronauts to Earth. Instead, they've pushed out their own self-imposed deadline. They say they'll come up with a plan by the end of this month. And effectively, they're looking at two options. So the backstory is that these two astronauts, Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore, arrived on June the 5th for what was supposed to be an 8-day mission on the International Space Station. Now, more than 2 months later, they're still there. And it's because the vehicle that took them to the International Space Station, which is Boeing's Starliner, had major technical issues on the trip outward. So in the docking process, trying to actually connect to the International Space Station, we saw 5 of the thrusters of the Boeing Starliner fail, and there are also issues around helium. And so the concerns for NASA is whether or not the vehicle can be trusted to bring these two astronauts safely back to Earth. Now, there appears to be disagreement among the experts at NASA about how reliable this particular vehicle will be. They say they're currently looking through recent data and doing workshopping on exactly how they could potentially overcome any of the concerns about the reliability. That's one option, to use the same vehicle effectively to bring them back. If they can't trust the reliability of Boeing's Starliner, then perhaps these two astronauts will be able to hitch a ride on competitor SpaceX's vehicle. The problem with that plan is it means that these two astronauts are going to be spending potentially a lot longer in space. It could be that they will stay there until February next year. Now, NASA assures the American public and the people of the world that these two astronauts are safe, that they have more than enough resources in the International Space Station to stay there. Obviously, these astronauts are chosen in part because of their mental stability and their ability to withstand unusual situations. But it could be that this time is lengthened for them up at the International Space Station. And also it's an issue for Boeing, of course. Now, Boeing and SpaceX have been involved in this competition about who can continue to get these contracts from the US government as far as transporting astronauts to and from space. SpaceX has been well ahead. This was supposed to be a shining moment for Boeing, and unfortunately, yet again, it appears that there are major questions about how reliable their spacecraft actually are.